Good afternoon, everyone. I must say that I am feeling really privileged to participate in the centenary celebrations of Lucknow University because it's my institution. My affinity, my attachment, and my respect for Lucknow University and its philosophy department is still the same as it was when I joined it. It is another matter that since 1975, I did not have any very close association with the university except as an infrequent visitor. But the learning, the experiences, they are still with me vividly. I joined the university at an impressionable age of 17. The first two impressions I must share with you all because they are still with me fresh and strong. The first pleasant shock for me was the presence of 5 gates in the university without any restriction of from which one you will enter and from which one you will exit. Coming from schools and colleges where there was only one gate, and that too closely guarded by the watchman, it was a tremendous experience for me, and somehow I felt that this place is going to offer immense possibilities, and I was not wrong. The second important impression was of two buildings, the grand, old, beautiful quadrangle and the office building, which later on became Students' Union's office building. Somehow they conveyed a very strong sense of sublimity and grandeur. And I can never forget my first impression of these two buildings. I was a student of philosophy department, and that's where my academic journey really became very strong and directed. The strong discipline of Professor Das Gupta, the academic challenges subtly brought out by Professor Ruprekha Verma because of her own personal achievements. She never lectured us on this, but because of her personal achievements, one after another, we felt extremely aspirational and inspired. And then we can't talk of philosophy department without mentioning Dr. Sri Chandra. The most complex concepts he could explain in such simple way, and I am not exaggerating, but his lectures on Western philosophy are imprinted on my mind almost word to word even today. A special benefit of those classes the, was the tea that he used to get served to us, and a very gentle and willing, smiling Mansaram, the peon of the department, used to go even in the peak of winters to get tea and biscuits for Dr. Sri Chandra and for his students in the class. What a treat it was in those days from a teacher. I learnt a number of things from them, both intellectually and socially. The warmth, the care, the support that these teachers used to offer to us, apart from being disciplinarians and very strict on performance, that warmth had created an affinity which is still is present in most of the students, I am sure. But university was not just an academic experience. It had its very sublime aspects and it had some extremely ridiculous aspects. Let me share some of them with you. When we joined philosophy department, there used to be symposiums and conferences. Now, some of those symposiums we were not at all interested because they were too high level and we could follow hardly not even 5% of them. But there were some symposiums and some sessions of those symposiums which all of us were used to eagerly wait and attend. Not because of the content, but because of one professor who used to come from another university. And the greatness of that professor was that he will disagree with every speaker and even before they could start speaking. The minute the speaker will take the papers in his hand or her hand to read, he will start shaking his head vigorously that I don't agree. And we students found it extremely hilarious and funny experience. So we used to go to the symposium sometimes for learning, but very often for these kinds of experiences. Then when we used to come to the university, where there were 2, 3 girls who were extremely beautiful and also smart. So we knew from which gate they were to enter in the university today. And we knew it because we could see lines, a long line of cycles with boys riding them coming to a particular gate because we knew that these girls must be coming through this gate. That's why they all are standing. But this was the culture of those days. No whistling, no harassment, no teasing. The boys will stand on both sides of the road or outside the gate. Just look at those girls appreciatively and the girls will keep walking with their heads down. This was another very interesting part of the culture of that time. And similarly was the ragging very graceful. I became a teacher while I was doing my PhD and immediately after doing my MA. So naturally I was young and the students were young and I was given BA Part 1 as my first class. The boys were there and they will look at me, won't say anything, just smile. Naturally, nervously, I entered the room and opened a big attendance register and started calling the names. So all the boys, one after another, will say, "Yes, sir, present, sir, yes, sir, present, sir." For 8, 10 times, I didn't know what to do and I was feeling nervous. Should I scold them? Should I do what? But then I said, let me follow the spirit of the game. And I said, okay, thank you, Miss. Thank you, Miss. Will you please raise your hand, Miss? And then they all laughed. I laughed. And after that, there was fun, there was mischief, there were jokes, but never any ragging of the ugly kind. So this was a very graceful atmosphere in the university in those days. And there was also excitement. We used to have students' unions elections. Every now and then we will have them and there will be a lot of hangama and chit giving and broadcasting and advertising, personal contacting and everything. And within 2 years we realized that there was one candidate who will contest every election for some post or the other, but will never win. But he was resilient, he will persist in contesting. So we used to find it very funny. And the great experience was when one day we found that during election campaigning, in the playground just across our philosophy department, there was band, baja, dance, drama, And this candidate, the constant loser of the elections, was coming on an elephant and saying, vote for me, vote for me. I can never forget that scene. And the teachers were very accommodative. They could realize that its students will not be able to focus. So they immediately gave a break in all the classes, and all the students came to the balcony and saw this tamasha. Naturally, he didn't win. That's another thing, because we enjoyed the tamasha, never voted for him. So this was the experience, the different kinds of experience. Then as a teacher, I became an invigilator. And the best experience was of invigilating a law paper, because almost everyone will be copying. They will bring chits and other things, and they will copy. And if you catch them and ask for their chit to be given back, I will just put my hand out, they will keep the chit on my hand. And then after invigilation was over, the papers were submitted, and I will come out of the room. Those boys, huge, big boys, and they will tell me, ma'am, you spoiled our performance. And all my friends were able to cheat and pass, but you destroyed my career. So they will demolish me for being a good invigilator. But one took it, it happens in life. So the experiences of those days were tremendous. We enjoyed it. We learned, we grew intellectually, socially, emotionally, and yet we enjoyed ourselves.